New opportunities for redemption must be embraced. Enter the Justice, Development and Peace Center, Lagos Archdiocese of Catholic Church, JDPC, with an ambition like no other and a vision that is unparalleled. The JDPC intends to build the first truly reformative home, a halfway house for those forgotten by society who once lost their way but are now willing to retrace their steps.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life. A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to be able to build this very laudable initiative.
Equipped with over 30 rooms for both male and female, a library for those intent on catching up with the development of the intellect, a fully equipped and functioning workroom for skilled impartation and training.
We know that the work of humanity, the work of bringing about good governance, the work of making sure that the voice of the voiceless is heard, can be quite challenging and daunting. And that's why the fundraising aspect is there.
The JDPC has tried to fill the lacuna left by government for the enhancement and betterment of human beings. That's why project to build a rehabilitation home for deportees and for returnee prisoners.
It has been a long journey to get to this moment of actualization. The vision for the halfway home and the attempts to turn vision to reality have not been without disappointment and dashed hopes.
The JDPC is in the line or in the course of producing and building and constructing a rehabilitation and a vocational center. Now, this vocational center, you may want to know, has always been in the mind of the JDPC from the time of our beloved Cardinal, the Archbishop Emeritus of the Archdiocese of Lagos, His Eminence Cardinal Anthony Okogie, when this vision was birthed. But along the line, some things had to stall for funding issues and a few other logistical reasons.
This home is to provide succor and a place where they can find their feet before they are reintegrated into society. The rehab home is to also provide skills. They will be able to acquire skills that will be useful to them in life.
There is hope for everyone regardless of their circumstances. It is true that the seed for societal decay is swung by human hands, sometimes wittingly, other times unwittingly. But it is also a fact that the society has within itself the power to self-regulate and the ability to redeem itself. So it is so with those who find themselves at the bottom of the ladder, such as ex-convicts or inmates, as well as victims of sexual abuse, exploitation, and trafficking. After all, if Mary Magdalene and the thief on the cross could find last-minute redemption, who then can be immune from God's mercy if they open up their hearts?
We know full well that there are a lot of persons who, for want of maybe man's inhumanity to man, have found themselves in very underprivileged and disadvantaged positions in the society. We have a lot of destitutes. We have our friends, our brothers and our sisters from the correctional facilities who have been set free. And sometimes they find nowhere to go. They find nothing to do. We also get to read in the news every now and again the migration processes that take place in the country and how certain of our brothers and sisters are being repatriated and brought back to the country from the Middle East, from Libya, parts of Africa, and of course from Europe. Now, sometimes these persons come back and they are lost at sea, not knowing exactly what they should do. Now, this rehabilitation center is a stopgap where we bring these persons together and train them and let them know that all life is not lost. There is hope for a better Nigeria, and they can make good use of this center to further benefit themselves. It is a center that in its conception had the mind or the thought of bridging the gap between the correctional facilities and the center, putting it simply, from prison to society.
JDPC's Half Home is set up to do one part of what a custodian center is supposed to do, and that is the reformation of the dejected and abandoned after society has imposed its legal punishment on them. This reformation must be followed by reintegration back into the society, and it also applies to victims of human trafficking for sexual purposes.
These young people will not be like gunpowder that we are sitting upon and that will explode and cause much more confusion in the nation.
My word of encouragement to you is that to be one, to not to lose focus, to be determined on what they want to do with their lives, and not to be used by any person for their selfish interests at the detriment of their future and their life.
Unfortunately, the nature and character of the country's socio-political system seem to make these achievements of this noble objective almost impossible.
In the past 6 months, my organization, for example, has released over 50 people in different correctional centers in Lagos State alone. And once they are out, we take them on and we get their stories recorded. And part of our questions to each of them is, how adequate are the facilities where you stayed? Some of them stayed 2 months, but some stayed more than 5 years. We've had situations in the past 8 to 10 months where we released someone who stayed about 8 years without trial, and then someone who the court gave order for his release in 2021 but was now released in 2023. So he stayed extra 2 years and 1 month. In all of these instances, we ask them, how adequate is accommodation, feeding, Medicare, recreation? These are the things that should be basic. They are not yet reformatory in nature. When you talk of reforms, you are now talking of something beyond the ordinary.
The increasing importance of non-governmental organizations to the overall running of the society cannot be overemphasized. Serious governments, especially in growing democracies, increasingly welcome their interventions in the various thematic areas of their engagements.
It takes a person who came in there with a sound mind. It takes that person from soundness of mind to something else. Many of them get out from there not happy, having revenge at the center of at the core of their soul.
From governance issues, healthcare, social welfare initiatives, the criminal justice system, human trafficking, etc. They have continued to complement the activities of governments over the years. The present rehabilitation home of the JDPC is one of such efforts.
The 10th of May too is a day we are setting aside to raise funds, to complement and to further carry out the task, our primary responsibility of spreading the gospel of God's grace to the nations, to the world, to the ends of the earth, especially within the confines of Lagos State.
A place of shelter, a place to rest, a place to be human beings again. And that is why we are calling on all and sundry to join us, to help us to build this very laudable initiative.
The JDPC wants to set a precedent that it hopes others, such as governments, corporate institutions, and philanthropists would emulate. The body wants to send a message to the rejected and dejected in the society. We have your back. Do not despair. That message is the halfway home. But this can only happen when similar charity-minded individuals and entities identify with this objective to turn a long-nurtured dream to reality.
Victoria Island of Lagos. Those are the came after us. I don't want to use their term. I'm only telling you. That's how expensive.
Somewhere in the heart of Okota, a bustling district of Lagos, Nigeria's former capital and currently its commercial hub and cultural melting pot, sits a majestic and upscale educational institution whose uniqueness amongst institutions of its kind speaks volumes about the expansive vision of its founder and director, his wide horizons and cosmopolitan worldview, his deep intentions towards the socio-economic development of his immediate environment and his country as a whole, and his deep concern for the legacy he, and by extension those he has mandated to help actualize his vision, would bequeath to coming generations. Like the institution he founded, His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Olabi Bodun Williams is a man of many dimensions. He is a business entrepreneur, a leader on both the temporal and spiritual levels, a scholar, and an accomplished manager of men and resources. This is reflected not only in his royal background as a scion of the two ruling houses in Lagos, or in his rich and varied experiences in all the places life has taken him so far, but also in the character of his creation, the first Islamic English Education Foundation Academy, also known as FAEF Academy.
When Islamic principle activities came into my life, of course, I started publishing journals, Force of Islam International journals. Then it occurred to me that that one was not once. More so to bring to an end, if possible, what we went through, where we go to secular school in the morning and have to go to Arabic school in the evenings. That is not too good for today's learning process. And then I had to pioneer something that can embrace both at a go, which people thought it can never be possible. But Allah helped me now to pioneer such. Even the journals I pioneered made way for so many Islamic journals later. The same thing, this school is the first of its kind all over the world. That they brought about my person being turned to a consultant in the modern day Islamic education.
This is a school which, since its inception in 1984, has blazed the trail in combining the best of Islamic instruction with the best of Western formal education at the nursery, primary, post-primary and advanced levels, with a view towards inculcating in the minds, hearts and consciousness of young Muslims the most sublime learning, tenets and values of both worlds. Located at number 11 Prince Hamidu Williams Way /9 Chief Wachuku Drive in Okota, Lagos, this unique institution, which prides itself in being the oldest continually operating private school of its kind in Nigeria, marks a radical departure from what obtained in former times when Islamic and Western education and standards were mutually exclusive and often at odds with each other, a situation in which students imbibed the trappings of Western education but were left spiritually empty.
I came into it because I want to save the future of Muslim kids, not going through the hassles that people like us went through in acquiring Islamic education and being a proper Muslim. Today, mashallah, I'm grateful to God that I've been able to pioneer what people thought wasn't possible, bridging both secular education and Islamic education, all going on the same level as you must have seen today. It wasn't that easy all along. And people are saying that, why are you bothering yourself about it? What is the big deal about? I said, that's not a big deal. Because we are first-class citizens of them, and the Muslims of now too should be first-class citizens.
Sheikh Williams' passion for excellence in this most innovative of endeavors is born out of his desire not only to uphold the high standards and quality of life and to pass on the values on which he grew up, but also to correct the anomaly occasioned by the dichotomy between the Islamic and Western models of education.
Lagos State is a place for us. Lagos State is a place for us. Lagos State is a place for us.
His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Olabi Bodunrin Williams was born in the mid-1950s into the large, aristocratic and influential Williams family of Itakose Olowogbowo in Eko, as Lagos was called before the advent of Europeans on these shores. An important seat of traditional authority, which has served as a stronghold of the power and majesty of the Obas of Lagos from time immemorial, the ancient community of Eko was a thriving center of commerce as far back as pre-colonial days.
I'm a typical Eko boy. Eko in Lagos State. Alhamdulillah, I was given birth to on Lagos Island proper. I say Eko proper now, island proper. The island that was known as at the time I was given birth to, proper island, where we have Isaloko, Olowogbowo, and the rest.
A coastal community, it still enjoys the serenity occasioned by its auspicious location along an extensive shoreline characterized by lagoons, pristine beaches, luxuriant vegetation, and the refreshing breeze of the Atlantic Ocean. Not only was it agriculturally self-sufficient even back in the day, Eko is surrounded by nature's bounty of all kinds, including a rich supply of seafood from the lagoons and the ocean. From its culturally homogeneous beginnings, the area has over the years seen a tremendous influx of foreigners from all over the country and beyond. Over the years, alas, Eko has lost its innocence. Today, it's a bubbling but crowded city in Lagos, the former capital of Nigeria. This has, however, not diminished its historic and cultural importance in the life of the state and the nation as a whole. With its numerous monuments and historical landmarks, such as the Iga Idugono, the Palace of the Oba of Lagos, the Enuowa Mosque, as well as the first public water tap in Nigeria, to name a few, it is a living, breathing museum chronicling the history, arts and culture of Lagos and indeed of Nigeria. In fact, it can be said without any fear of contradiction that Eko remains in a timeless way the very heart of Lagos State. On both sides of his family lineage, His Eminence Sheikh Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Akinola Williams descended from royalty. His father, Prince Lamidu Hamidu Akombiaro Williams, now of blessed memory, of whom Prince Muhammad was the 12th child, was among the most powerful and influential personalities in the Lagos Island of his time. A double prince from both the Akinsemoyin and Ologun Kutere ruling houses of Lagos Island, his family tree on his father's, that is the Williams side, also boasts of connections to the lineage of the Awujale, the paramount ruler of Ijebu land, as well as to the Dagburewe ruling house of Idowa.
Williams from the beginning are great merchants. They are the earlier trading partners with the English people. Hence, the family house is very close to the marina where the foreign ship arrives, and they are the one that trade with all these foreign merchants from England, from Portugal, and the rest like that.
An importer of textile and garment-related equipment, products and accessories such as sewing machines, buttons, buckles, needles and threads, etc. Not only did he set up the first garment industry in Nigeria, he was also a trendsetter in the nation's fashion and textile industry of the time. He introduced new and hitherto unknown clothes-making devices and other industrial goods into Nigeria in partnership with German and other Western companies. In addition, Prince Lamido Williams also had major investments in goldsmithing. On his maternal side, His Eminence Prince Muhammad Mansour Al-Mansur Williams is the son of Olori Agba Kosenotu Iyajuya Aduni Williams, who holds the titles of Borokini Adini of Aguda Central Mosque in Aguda, Surulere, Lagos, and the Alari Adini of Nawaruddin Society of Nigeria, among others. She is the daughter of Alhaja Chief Sinotu Atupa Palo, first Iya Adini of Lagos Central Mosque, also the Iya Adini of Lagos and later of Nigeria, equally from the lineage of Eletu Odigbo of Lagos, a family of noblemen who act as the Prime Minister of the Oba of Lagos and historically served as the principal kingmaker and traditional Prime Minister of Eko. She is also from the Olorogun Ide chieftaincy regarded matriarch. The Sheikh's mother is an influential market leader with a thriving establishment in the Ereko, Idumota, Okuawo, Marina district of Lagos.
Sheikh Mansour Williams Obalola. His father was my his father was my stepfather. So I was somehow brought up in Sheikh Mansour Williams' father's house at Agboleoke on the Lagos Island. And so his own mother, I think, was the third or fourth wife of his father. So he's a junior brother to me. For him to even have a school, you know, for children, for pupils, that goes to show how a disciplinarian he is. Because if you are not disciplined by yourself, if you yourself are not disciplined, I can't see how you can establish a school where you have to deal with children who are just growing up, where you are going to mentor people from different homes, from different characters and things like that. So that goes to show you that he is a very disciplined man.
Historically, Eko is one of the earliest communities in what later became Lagos State of Nigeria to receive the benefits of Western formal education, with the advent of missionary schools established by various churches. In spite of the fact that about 95% of the population of Eko was made up of Muslim adherents, These missionary schools were enthusiastically patronized, especially by members of the community's elite, including the Williams family patriarch, who sent his young son, Prince Muhammad, to the Aminu Kosoko Kindergarten School, Iga Kosoko, Ereko, Idumota, where he commenced his educational journey. Not to be outdone, however, these counterparts, as reputable movements such as Ansaruddin, Ahmadiyya, and others, also began to stamp their educational footprint on the social landscape of the area. After his primary education at the Ansaruddin Primary School at Alakoro, Marina, Lagos Island, the young Prince Muhammad proceeded to the prestigious Ahmadiyya College, now known as Anwar College, which was established at the time as the Islamic equivalent of such icons of Western-style educational distinction as King's College, St. Gregory's College, St. Finbarr's College, and Igbobi College. The practice among the elite class in colonial Nigeria was usually to dispatch their children and wards off to England in search of the proverbial golden fleece as soon as they had concluded their secondary education. The Williams family was no exception. Before being sent off, however, the young Prince Muhammad Mansur al-Mansur Williams was first obliged to get some work training in Nigeria, in preparation for which he enrolled at the Marina headquarters of the Nigerian Customs Preventive Service, which was a required step towards a career in the Nigeria Customs Service at the time.
I got recruited into the customs accidentally. I never for once prepared to work with customs nor any other organization of any kind. After my secondary school education, while awaiting my movement from Lagos to England, the type of training we had in those days, every morning, Daily Times newspaper, another dailies will be dropped at our father's table. And after the head of the family must have gone through it, we too will have access to it. And one particular day like that, and usually I would have retired from a boy's room into my mother's bedroom, of course, with other wives, of course, you know. So that particular day, I instead of flipping through the newspaper at my father's sitting room, I decided to retired in my mother's bedroom, and when I was in my mother's bedroom, going through the daily newspaper, Daily Times, of course, there was this advert calling for recruitment of Lagos State origin into Nigerian Customs. Of course, Nigerian Customs headquarters was just a stone thrown away from my house. It was at Marina. My house is on Ereko. It just some 10 minutes walk. Oh, no, sorry. Less than 10 minutes walk. So I just maybe out of what, I just left my mother's room and they walk into the place. Guess what? There are people already on queue. I joined the queue and you know, I'm sure people will say, what is this man talking about? But that's the reality, that's the fact. And before I know it, it was my turn. And I was asked to step onto a particular stand, facilities to determine your height, your this, your that. And I believe it, I got recruited into the customs. Just like that.
He followed this up with further training at the Police College in Kaduna, and thereafter at the Customs Training School, Harvey Road, Yaba, Lagos.
We were dispatched to customs training place at Harvey Road, full police training and customs training, and before I know it, I was posted to Apapa Premier Port. From there, the next thing I saw was my passport, printed my passport notice in the daily newspaper. Then the next thing being dispatched to England. Then after my sojourn in England, I returned to Nigeria for National Service. National Service posted me to Ministry of Finance. That time, as a foreign graduate, whenever we are available, we start our NYSC, not what they have now. Then I've had a baby girl. My brother says, since you are now a father, you have to sort yourself out before your baby is ready to join you back in Nigeria, and the mother, blah, blah, like that.
At the end of his training and in the course of his stewardship with the Nigerian Customs Service, the young Prince Muhammad Mansour Williams eventually departed the shores of Nigeria for England to study for a degree in accountancy. However, that plan had the obligations that came with its